And now, words of wisdom with Adam Carriker.
Taken is the adult version of Finding Nemo. You like that?
I do. I do. And with that, we welcome you to Fourth and Paid, the only pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion. He is Redskins defensive end Adam Carriker. I am the weight loss champion Chuck Carroll. And oh my goodness gracious sakes, live, Adam, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I will tell you straight up, the Washington Redskins have not won a home contest since September 18th, 2011. Sunday's loss to the Atlanta Falcons marked the 8th regular season loss in a row, and they lost more than the game. They lost quarterback Robert Griffin III out with a mild concussions. Evaluation's going to continue on this week, but I need to know, sir, what did you take away from this game?
Well, that intro was like ultimate Debbie Downer right there. I almost don't even want to do the show now. It's like so depressing.
I'll give you some Prozac and we will press on.
I don't need any Prozac. We don't know that Robert is down. I mean, Aldrick Robertson was out cold. If you saw the video, out cold, and he played. He played just fine. And I firmly believe that the doctors will do right by Robert, whether he plays or not. I believe that they will do right. He will be back and he will be healthy, and I don't think it'll take an extremely long amount of time. As far as the 8 in a row, that's tough. I mean, basically, you got to get it done, and especially on your home field. You got to have pride. You got to take heart. And, you know, I've been a part of some of those losses from last year, so I know what that's like, too. And it's just very tough, especially as a player. You want to play well in front of your friends, your fans, your family. Everybody's there, so obviously you got to do a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely wasn't saying RG3 was necessarily gone for the long haul, but they lost him midway through the third quarter, unable to return. Now, what we were told after the game was that he was evaluated by an independent neurologist, did not know what the score was, nor did he know what quarter it was. Therefore, the determination was made to keep him out of the game and Kirk Cousins to go in and make his regular season debut. Now, I will say this, outside of 2 interceptions, for Kirk Cousins to come off the bench completely cold, hasn't played since the preseason in a regular game, he did okay. He had that long touchdown pass to Santana Moss and the blown coverage from the Falcons. That was the only offensive touchdown that the Redskins had, and that can be attributed to Kirk Cousins.
I'm going to say, considering the circumstances, I know he doesn't get a ton of reps in practice. I know Robert gets probably about 2/3 at least. And like you said, he hasn't been in a live game situation in over a month now since that 4th preseason game. For him to come in and compete like that, and he actually had a couple of other throws that were dropped by the receivers that would have helped out even more. So, I mean, you know, obviously the 2 picks, you know, he's a young guy. He hasn't had much action in a while. But I respect the effort that he put forth, and obviously he's got a very bright future ahead of him.
And it'd be tough for me to sit here and argue that Rex Grossman would have been able to do a better job than what Kirk was able to do today. Even though Rex is the veteran, he would have still have been coming off of the bench cold, not having played since the preseason. I think that Shanahan made the right move in keeping Rex on the inactive list, keeping Cousins up, and giving him that experience. Because he's taken away more than just having a couple snaps under his belt. This is a huge step forward in his career. Now he knows what it's like to go up against the ones for a significant amount of time. I think that he's going to be a better player because of today's experience.
Well, I think so. And as far as the game itself goes, you know, it's kind of 50-50 as to who would have done better, Rex versus Kirk. Like you said, it's been a while. He would have been cold. You know, Kurt actually came in and played decent. I think if a couple of those catches are made, I think some things might have turned out a little bit differently.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the positives from the game. Obviously, our defending champion, Alfred Morris, running back, bests his 113 yards last week with a 115-yard performance today, continuing to just perform well beyond his 6th-round value in this year's draft, just exceeding all expectations. You know, he's on pace for nearly a 1,600-yard rookie season.
Well, I mean, what's he getting? About 100 yards every game? You do that for 16 weeks, that's 1,600 yards. So, I mean, the guy just stay healthy, just keep doing what you're doing. Do not hit that rookie wall, which is, easier said than done, and just keep playing like he's been playing. Like you said, he has exceeded all expectations for him to this point anyways.
And Ryan Kerrigan, what more can you say about him? The exciting pick six early in the game, the first points of the board. He takes it back to the house, just jumps right in front of the Matt Ryan pass, and boom, unopposed right down into the end zone. I believe that is his second career touchdown.
Here's what I love. It's like he's an outside linebacker. He's a defensive player, but he's good for about one touchdown a year. I still have the image of that. His first game ever against the Giants last year, I think he batted the ball and then caught it and ran about 15, 20 yards for the touchdown. This time he just reads the screenplay, makes the catch, runs about 30 to 40 yards. Hey, man, are you going to get us a touchdown a year plus the sacks he's going to rack up? I mean, I love me some Ryan Kerrigan.
And watching the way that he read that Matt Ryan screen pass from the press box, it was almost like Ryan was playing catch with him because he was standing right in his line and Ryan still decided to throw that ball. All Kerrigan had to do was jump up, take the ball, and then take it to the house. I will say this. I got a big kick out of him doing his version of the Lambeau Leap after the score.
I was digging that. That was pretty cool. I looked for a second like he wasn't sure what to do. I remember in the Saints game, he did like this, like he was doing the diamond cutter. And I asked him about it. He's like, no, I wasn't the diamond cutter. I'm like, well, what was it? He's like, I really don't know. So I'm glad this time, he decided on something quickly and it looked pretty good. And I think we have, Rack's not going to be back till next year. But I don't know if you saw his tweet today. It was to the effect of, my boy Ryan Carriker doing some things, salt and pepper. Go Skins.
Salt and pepper? I don't.
Well, Kerrigan would be the salt, he would be the pepper, I think, in this tweet.
Gotcha.
So I think we might have a new nickname for our outside linebackers once Rack comes back next year. I am liking some salt and pepper.
I like it.
Not the music group, but the nickname for our outside linebackers.
Salt and pepper. Shaking up the opposition. How about that?
I like
just
it.
Take it one step further.
I like it.
Fred Davis getting involved in the offense as well, had himself a pretty good game. Now, on the other side of things, and this is something that nobody in the press box liked to see, certainly nobody watching at home enjoyed seeing this as well. The kicking woes continue. Billy Cundiff pushes a 31-yarder wide right. Mike Shanahan comes out after the game, says, hey, that was disappointing. He didn't capitalize on his opportunities. Had a rough week a week ago in Tampa. It continues now. He seemed a little bit downtrodden, didn't make any excuses in the locker room for his miss after the game, but I believe that the writing's somewhat on the wall at this point.
I mean, you never know what could happen. I would be surprised if they didn't at least try some guys out and see what happens this week in practice. He's had success in the past, was a Pro Bowl kicker, so he's got that in him. He's got the ability. Obviously, he's just lost a little bit of confidence at this point, so maybe we'll see what happens this week. I'm sure they'll bring some guys in, and it'll be interesting to see what happens this week in practice.
I got a chance to chat with him a little bit after the game, and I asked him, I said, this is a tough question, but I'm going to ask it because, well, I got to do a job. And I tried to sugarcoat it a little bit. I come in with the soft approach. I said, Billy, this is a difficult question, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask, what is going through your mind right before the kick? And he stopped and he said, well, you know what? That's kind of an interesting question. But you guys just don't understand what it's like to be a kicker. You don't understand what we go through.
I don't know what it's like to be a kicker. You want to hear a funny story
By all means.
Real quick?
By all
Hilarious
means.
story. So can you imagine me kicking?
No.
Look at me. Look at this body.
Well, I'm looking at.
Don't stop checking me out. Just look at. Anyways, So going into my senior year of high school, we were rather atrocious. We won we were 2-34 in 4 years. So anyways, going into my senior, we had no kicker whatsoever. So I'm out there in the summer, and I would play catch with the receivers because I was the quarterback. But after everyone would leave, and nobody could see me, I would practice just kicking, trying to kick field goals. The farthest one I ever made was an extra point. Anything over 18 yards or whatever an extra point is, it was not going through or even close. And I was about, at best, 50-50 for extra points. Thank God we had a kid transfer as a freshman, and he became a really good kicker for us. But, that was kind of a fun endeavor that I've never really let anybody know about other than a few immediate family members.
You were an aspiring kicker. I'm impressed.
Not because I wanted to be. It was more out of necessity, and it was rather embarrassing in my just whole attempt. It was bad.
Oh, well,
It'd be like if you tried to dunk a basketball. It'd just be rather humiliating.
I mean, I've dunked before.
Not without 4 trampolines.
No, it's not a 6-foot rim.
And 4 trampolines.
I can get a 6-foot rim.
I doubt it.
How much you want to bet? $100,000 right now. I'll dunk on a 6-foot rim any day.
How tall are you? 3'2"?
5'6".
3'2"?
What can I do to stick up my hands, man? I'm not that short.
You're like
I'm not
Sean
that
Bradley on a
big.
6-foot rim.
Exactly.
All right, finish your story. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Well, no, that's all right. I mean, Billy
humor.
Cundiff, he just seems like the writing was on the wall a little bit. He got asked, all sorts of questions. The guys that approached him after me were a little bit more harsh with their questions.
Can't imagine that.
Yeah, I know. Go to think. But difficult time, but I do fully expect the kickers will be worked out at Redskins Park a little bit later on this week. So that is the Redskins. Moving on next week, a difficult Minnesota Vikings team. Going a sneaky good team. I believe they moved to 5-1 on the season, or 4-1.
4-1. Surprisingly good.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about them in the 2-minute drill. But is there anything?
The final drive.
The final drive. Is there anything else that you want to get out there about the game? Any final thoughts?
It was encouraging to see the defense for the first 3 quarters play well. I mean, I thought they played really well. Obviously, the fourth quarter is not the effort you want. Obviously, it didn't go the way we wanted. But I thought through the first 3 quarters they showed what I saw all camp, what I saw in the preseason and before I got hurt, and what we're capable of. And if they're able to do that for 4 quarters, I think we can be the team that I saw throughout all the camp and preseason. Obviously, we're banged up here and there, but that's just part of the NFL. But it was encouraging for me to see that.
All right, man. Well, let's push fast forward. We're going to go on the final drive right now, take you around the league real quick. We're going to start up in Cincinnati, where Ryan Tannehill threw for 223 yards. Reggie Bush found the end zone as the Miami Dolphins go into Cincy, pulled the 17-13 upset win there. Meanwhile, over in Indianapolis, the Colts 1-1 for Chuck Pagano. Andrew Luck passes for 362 yards and 2 scores. Reggie Wayne, also a monster game, 13 catches, 212 yards, and a score in the 30-27 win over the visiting Green Bay Packers. In Kansas City, a battle of field goals. The Ravens beat the Chiefs 9-6, and that's all I have to say about that. The Cleveland Browns go up early but fall to Eli Manning and the New York Giants 41-27. In Pittsburgh, Sean Sweezum hits a 34-yard field goal as time expired to give the Steelers a 16-14 win over the Philadelphia Eagles. Michael Vick, not so good. 3 fumbles on the day, 2 were lost. Also, not a good day for Cam Newton and Carolina. Nothing doing offensively for the Panthers, who fall to the visiting Seattle Seahawks 16-12. The Chicago Bears score 38 unanswered second half points, trounce the Jacksonville Jaguars 41-3. The Minnesota Vikings, the aforementioned Vikings, quietly stringing together a nice start to their season. They move to 4-1 with a 30-7 win over the Tennessee Titans. In New England, Brady versus Manning. Tom's team wins the battle. Peyton gets the head-to-head victory. Manning, 31 of 44 for 345 yards and 3 scores. Brady, 23 of 31 for 223 and a score, but it was the Patriots who upended the Broncos 31-21. And a week after shutting out the New York Jets, the San Francisco 49ers nearly pitch another shutout, set a franchise record with 621 yards en route to a 45-3 thrashing of the Buffalo Bills. Just an offensive bonanza. Alex Smith with 303 yards and 3 scores. Frank Gore runs for a $106 and finds pay dirt. Michael Crabtree, Vernon Davis each go over the century mark in receiving. Just another day at the office for the Bay Area Golden Boys. What do you have to say about San Francisco?
I mean, I really take 5 things away from the games today, and we'll start with San Francisco since that's what you asked me. They are really freaking good. They haven't given up a touchdown in over 2 games, and the Buffalo Bills had more touchdowns than any other team in the NFL coming in the game today, and they walked away with 3 points.
I did not realize that.
And then they shut out the Jets last week. They put up 34 on the Jets. They put up 45 on the Bills. I'm not very good at math, but what is that?
34, 45,
79 to 3 the past 2 games.
That's pretty daggone good.
That's pretty daggone good. The 49ers are pretty good. Another thing I take away, and we've mentioned this a couple times, the Vikings are a lot better than people thought. People thought they'd be like 1-4 at this point. They thought they were just going to be not very good. Christian Ponder wasn't very good. It turns out Christian Ponder is pretty good. It turns out the Vikings are pretty good. Another thing I take away, Drew Brees, in my opinion, he doesn't quite get this esteem or credit. He gets the credit of being one of the best quarterbacks in the game today, being really good, being a top 5 guy. In my opinion, he owns the single season yardage record, which he took away. Who did he take that away from?
Single season yardage, Drew Brees.
Who did you take it away from last year? We got to be much more professional than this.
Oh, dude. Single season.
Matt Marino? You have to
Yeah, it was Marino. It was. Well, F it. We'll move on.
Okay. And he holds that record. Now he holds the record for most consecutive games with a touchdown pass thrown. I mean, the guy's starting to put his name in different slots and multiple slots in the NFL passing record book. And in my opinion, he's one of the best quarterbacks this game has seen. And he's so underrated. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he's a small guy. And people still think that he's a smaller guy. He can't be one of the greatest ever.
Oh,
yeah, you're going to like that.
Me.
You're going to
Just
like that,
me,
aren't you?
baby.
Let's see what else I took away. The Colts surprised the Packers and win one for Chuck Pagano. In your words, to me, the Packers just aren't as good as they were last year. Their defense, I think, is a little bit better than last year, but the offense, for whatever reason, is struggling. And the Colts are a lot better than people thought they would be. And I think it's because you never know what you're going to get out of a rookie quarterback. And Andrew Luck has shown that he is pro ready, and he has come in and he has stepped in and he has played really well so far. And I think he's kind of carrying that team the way Robert Griffin carries our team.
Did you see the shirts that the Colts were wearing before the game?
I did. Chuck Strong. I like that.
I did.
And actually, both teams were wearing them. The Packers were wearing them too. Yeah.
Oh, I did. I did not see
And
that.
I like that too because we are we are first and foremost people and brethren, and then we are divided by our teams. So I really like that and the respect they showed. And last but not least, I've always thought in the Brady versus Manning head-to-head matchups, I've always thought that Manning slightly outplayed Brady, just like today. Yet Brady always won. And that streak just continues.
Continues to this day.
It does continue. They're still two of the best ever, no doubting that. But it just seems to me, even though Manning always seems to get the stats edge and whatnot, Brady always seems to get the W.
It's fun watching them go head to head, but for
Absolutely.
this segment, we are fresh out of time. On the other side, we're going to come back. We're going to speak to WWE superstar Titus O'Neil, one half of the primetime players in the 8-man tag team tournament to determine the number one contender for the WWE tag team titles. They will face Kane, Daniel Bryan, and Hell in the Cell if they win the tournament, but a tough matchup tonight on Raw against Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara. We'll get his thoughts on that and a whole lot more on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere. This is Fourth and Pain.
And I think we're going to discuss a great Husker victory from the past. I'm sure that'll be brought up.